I'll make a brand new start of it in old New York.
Susan, great to meet you. I have to confess that I never finished studying. I went into practice early on, and now I'm standing here with you, with Professor Susan Calvin, and you're a professor for ethics and technology at the Prenzlau School of Governance in Berlin. And first let me ask you, you're working on your new book. What is it about?
Well, my book is about what's been happening to us since we have been losing our data and how that affects us as humans. I mean, I'm being sloppy there. You don't ever really lose data. The whole point, of course, is that it's digitally collected. So you can't lose a part of yourself. But people have so much confusion about that. They think that they're losing parts of themselves, or they are being forced to conform to a medium of needing to generate data. So that forces them to be someone they wouldn't be otherwise, and then they have confusion about whether they really are the person that they're pretending to be. And of course, there's the problems of many people are trying to hide who they believe they really are. Some people believe that all the data will keep them alive forever because it's all being captured, and sooner or later science will solve the digital, AI heaven kind of ideas.
Susan, you were a vocal critic when the mandatory data protection law was introduced on a European level 7 years ago. Do you still think it is outrageous?
Yeah, absolutely. I still don't even understand how it could have come about, that this made it through our commission and the parliaments. It's just incredible. There's this fiction that data is automatically valued. There's this belief that if you have the bigger a pile of data you have, the bigger a pile of intelligence you get. Like Rumpelstiltskin sat there and weaved them from one to the other. But in fact, when all this data is being generated by people, I mean, what we know about information, the ultimate source of information is noise, right? Absolute white noise. That's the largest amount of data. You generate no intelligence from this, right? Intelligence comes from structure. And what we're seeing while people are trying to create these quotas of data is that they're degenerating all of the structure. So we're actually losing the intelligence we had and that we had inherited culturally. So yeah, in fact, it's a complete disaster.
And then what would you want to be changed?
This tax makes no sense. And I wish that first of all that people better understood it. I think there should be more resistance. And then of course I want it to be revoked.
And how would you say the obvious problems with the data pool can be mitigated? And who would be responsible to do that?
Well, I mean, obviously people are being disadvantaged by that, but and to some extent this is replicating traditional inequalities as things tend to do. But notice that in other ways it isn't, so that sometimes it is absolutely the elite that are still just accepting the penalties, they're able to absorb that, and it's often the actual poor, the weak, the politically or educationally disadvantaged who are generating enormous amounts of data and are getting a lot of high political positions and everything, but they are not necessarily, and again, this varies by individual, to the extent to which they're expressing their real selves or whatever, but they're not necessarily safer for being data rich. So I think this is all a fiction, it's badly aligned, and that's why I think it's dangerous.
Okay. Actually, I began to work with an NGO called the Data Equality Foundation back in Leipzig to work on these problems from an NGO side. And we had some discussions that lead to the following question, and that's also the last question. What's the difference between legal data extraction, between unethical data extraction, and illegal data extraction?
Okay. Well, I guess you're asking me the question between law and ethics.
Yes.
Now, normally, that depends on what you think is ethics. We have a better sense of what the law is. The law is legislated, it's explicit, it's written down, it's put together by some kind of arrangement, usually a geographic arrangement through governments. I mean, you can talk about religious law, of course, too, but let's just talk about the laws of states. So we have a pretty good sense of what that is. Ethics, again, within the way I talk about these things, is you can really think of ethics as everything that there is to try to hold a society together. So including things like identity, right? Language, these are things that help make the society, and then law is a subpart of that. Or at least that's the way I've always thought about it. I always thought that the law was sort of the explicit state enforced part of ethics. But in fact, what we're seeing now is that this law is actually degenerating communities, right? It's tearing them apart. And so you have to say, well, is that even a part of ethics? So maybe something can be not, a strict subset of ethics and also legal, but rather that it's turned on its head, that what's legal here is unethical. And so that's outside of what my previous books had been saying before this crisis hit. So, but to be fair, I'm not really a philosopher, or at least I wasn't trained as one. I was trained as a psychologist and a roboticist. So.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot of thought and a lot of stuff for me to think about. Thank you so much for the interview, and thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And good luck down in Leipzig with all that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Some data rich walk by you and they smell of data. Data emanates from them. They got not one, but many loggers, tons of data generating home appliances, data enriched cars, and so on. And then there are the data poor. I just don't get it. Why do the data poor not work harder? Honest work can move you up from data poorness. I produce data and I'm able to buy expensive coffee. And so can you. Nothing holds you back. Anything is possible. It's about the right mindset. If you don't make it, it's just because you want to be comfortable. You can't be comfortable. Comfortable is lazy. You don't need to be data poor. I show you how.